Hi everyone, and welcome to the second of the presentations on sociological theory. You should have completed the Cornell notes for the introduction to functionalism already. So next up you'll be looking at Marxism. What I'd like you to do is follow the same process as you did for functionalism and create Cornell notes using the video. And again, please make sure that you use a ruler to divide up your page and remember that you can also use text and images if you wish. We will look at Marxism in every area of study throughout the A-level. Your understanding of this theory is going to be crucial for your success in the subject as it comes up all over the show. We will be looking at it at much greater depth throughout each of the topics of study, but it's good to have that foundation knowledge in order to build on it and also have the Cornell notes that you can refer back to as a quick refresher before we do the in-depth study. Again, this theory comes with some sociologists and concepts which you will need to learn and use throughout your explanations, as this is what the examiner will be looking out for in your essays. Marxism was introduced by a man called Karl Marx. It's a conflict theory which believes that there are class divisions and conflict between the different classes within society. One term we will often use when talking about Marxism is ideology. So ideology simply means a system of ideas. Marx believed that the ideology or system of ideas which is responsible for the conflict in society is that of capitalism. So capitalism is the idea that society is driven by money and profit. Wealthy people are motivated by money alone, which leads to the less wealthy becoming further disadvantaged. Marx identified two different social classes. The bourgeoisie, who were the ruling class, so the owners of the means of production. So these are the people who would own things that are needed in order to manufacture goods. For example, the owners of the factories or the owners of the land where the resources have come from. The other social class that he identified were called the proletariat. These were the majority within society, also known as the subject class or the workers. Marx believed that there was conflict between these two groups, and this was due to the bourgeoisie, so the wealthy people, exploiting the proletariat in order to gain as much profit as they can from the work that they were doing. Marx believed that the bourgeoisie were able to maintain power over the rest of society as the workers needed money in order to survive. So they would be happy to work for very little money, not realising that in fact they were being taken advantage of. Marx believed that the workers, the proletariat, were in a state of false consciousness. So false consciousness means that they didn't realise the extent of the exploitation, which meant that they didn't fight out against it. The workers would simply carry on working for the wealthy with low pay and poor conditions, and they wouldn't ask any questions because they would need that job, because they would need to have money in order to provide for their families. Marx predicted that one day the proletariat, so the workers, would gain class consciousness. This means that they would realise the reality of the exploitation that they were experiencing at the hands of the bourgeoisie. When they did that, he said there would be a revolution, where all of the proletariat, who were the majority, would overthrow the powerful bourgeoisie. Marx believed that this would lead to the wealth in society being distributed equally and fairly amongst the people. He believed that we would then live in a communist society and capitalism would be dead. Another Marxist that crops up several times throughout the course is Althusser. So Althusser introduced the term ideological state apparatus, which we will refer to as ISA for short in lessons. The ideological state apparatus refers to agencies such as education and the media who transmit or spread the ideology, so the ideas of the ruling class, and also seek to justify the dominance of the bourgeoisie. Althusser believed that this reinforces false consciousness, as people will use things like the media as a way to escape their daily lives, so to escape the exploitation and to make their lives feel more bearable. He also points out that the media also encourages consumption of goods, so buying into products through advertising. And buying into the products would further increase the profit of the ruling class, as the proletariat will be spending their wages, which will eventually be going back into the pocket of the bourgeoisie once more. The main criticism of Marx's ideas is that his prediction hasn't come true and there hasn't been a revolution. Many people are in fact aware of the inequality between the rich and the poor in society, so it could be seen that there is an element of class consciousness. But people are not collectively making a stand and overthrowing the wealthy people in society. Another criticism is the question of whether Marxism is still relevant in today's society. He was writing from the early industrial era when society was split into factory owners and factory workers. But nowadays, the class system is very different. In fact, there has recently been a study which suggests that there are now 7 different social classes, which reflects the sort of technological changes within our society. So, it could be argued that Marx's two-class system is no longer relevant today. Once you've made your Cornell notes on Marxism, go through with 2 different colour highlighters again, as you did with functionalism, and highlight any studies, so the names of sociologists, and concepts, so specialist words with sociological meaning. If you are unsure of the meaning of any of these concepts, then research them and add information to your notes for future reference. If you still are unsure of any of the concepts, then do ask me about them when you start the course, and I will be able to clarify. This is a very brief introduction to Marxism, so if you would like to find out some more, then it's worth having a look at some of the videos on YouTube, which will give you a bit more of an understanding on Marxist theory.